No idea is good forever. No matter how brilliant, how resilient, how imaginative, how timely and effective, every idea you can conceive will benefit from being modified, improved, and ultimately replaced. The creative process is constant. Coming up with new ideas, even ones that turn out to be exceptionally valuable and perhaps celebrated the world over, does not put an end to your process. There is no idea that will remain valid in perpetuity, and to achieve sustainable creativity, you must continue creating, modifying, selecting, implementing, rejecting, and, at some point, replacing your ideas with new ones. To be successful, it is imperative to create new idea after another, embracing change, and knowing when it's time to discard one idea and replace it with another. Rather than waiting for caramba and rather than believing that success today guarantees success tomorrow, some individuals consistently anticipate the impact of change and thus, do a good job of replacing their ideas. As an exemplar, we would point to the news organization Reuters, which has consistently evolved in brilliant winning ways. The company's overarching theme of message and news delivery dates back to its founding in 1850, and it has remained consistent ever since. How did Reuters keep its broad idea the same in face of so many changes in the world since then? It initially implemented this idea using homing pigeons, followed by telegraph, in 1851, and then the telex machine, in 1882. These technologies were then discarded and replaced with radio, in 1923, and satellite communication, in 1962, and today the company boasts whole new approaches featuring sophisticated internet-based news delivery applications. Paul Julius Reuters founded the company in 1850 in Aachen, Germany, then Prussia. The telegraph, at that time, was a new invention. But there was a gap in the line between Aachen and Brussels, so he used homing pigeons to bridge that gap, enabling news to move more quickly between Berlin and Brussels, among other routes. Knowing that carrier pigeons were not a technology of the future, Reuters looked for new approaches to news and message delivery, or put another way, he looked for new successful ideas that would fill in the broad original idea he and his colleagues had originally created at the A Company's inception. Reuters appears to have been incredibly gifted at coming up with lots of new ideas, exploiting them for as long as possible, and then replacing them with new ones if and when necessary. After moving to London in 1851, Reuters took advantage of the newly laid telegraph line under the English Channel, between Dover and Calais, and began providing stock prices from London Stock Exchange to brokers in Paris, as well as prices from continental Europe to brokers at the LSE. Reuters opened more and more offices, and in 1865 his private firm became a corporation called Reuters Telegram Company. In 1865, he was also the first in Europe to break the news of Abraham Lincoln's assassination, after the news took 12 days to cross the Atlantic. Around 1882, Reuters implemented another new paradigm when it began using the telex, a sort of column printer that is an ancestor of today's terminal used by some hearing-impaired people, to communicate news and stock prices across its network offices, which enabled longer missives than the simple telegraph. This continued the overall mission of getting news in stock prices communicated broadly and quickly, while also continuing to take advantage of shifting trends and technologies in the world. In 1923, Reuters helped develop new uses for radio, including methods for transmitting news internationally and a service of stock quotes and exchange rates sent in Morse code by long-wave radio. This ultimately turned into Reuters' primary service in Europe, and eventually the world as a radio transmitters grew stronger. Reuters continued to be agile and flexible. In the 1960s, the company implemented a new idea when it embraced the potential of satellite, and again when it developed a new theme relating to the Internet in the mid-1990s. Remarkably, Though overall broad theme of news and stock price transmittal has stayed the same as the world changed, Reuters has repeatedly developed new exciting ideas to fill it in and thus remain both relevant and successful.